thing I've learned over the years of guys breaking up with me because of my TikTok is to just not tell them about it. Like, it's really not that bad, but I think that it makes people feel some type of way about me. So if they don't go looking for it, there's no point in telling them, maybe until they've already fallen into my trap and are obsessed with me. So that way it softens the blow a bit. This weekend, I go out on a date. I have a job outside of this, like I just do this for fun. It's a hobby for me. And I don't have that big of a following, nor have I ever been getting the engagement in the last year that I used to. So I never really think like, oh, people know who I am. But every once in a blue moon, it's like a collection of people who recognize me out.
Congratulations!
So let me get this straight. The most important thing that you've learned over the years of you airing out your dirty laundry on TikTok is that if you meet a dude who has the minimum amount of interest in you, the best course of action is to effectively lie to this guy and hide the truth from him until you have emotionally manipulated him to the point where you'll assume that he'll forgive you right on the spot, just so you don't have to run the risk of this guy leaving you. But here's the thing, woman, that man's gonna leave you regardless. You feel like your personal life is somehow so important that you need to post garbage every day for your so-called fans. And a self-respecting man sees right through that garbage. He'll know that every single time there's a minor altercation, then it'll be appropriated for content to create drama for your channel. Self-respecting men refuse to sacrifice their privacy just because you have a TikTok following, sister. And you may think that's not a big deal, but it has real-world consequences. All it takes is one unhinged follower to completely ruin that man's life with doxing, social media shaming, or even a false police report. So burying that particular fact is just gonna blow up in your face later.
I was in a part of my county that I live in that I don't normally go out in. That's like the kiss of death, because then the shock factor is still there. Got recognized not once, twice. And he's like, what do you do? So then I had to explain the lore to him. I was like, well, I've had this like TikTok platform. I yap on the internet. I always kind of like throwing the podcast in there because I'm like, you know what? Like maybe it'll make me sound like a little less degenerate if I'm like, oh yeah, I also had a podcast. Until he texted me the other day and was like, should I listen to it? No. You've listened to my podcast. You know why it's not a good idea for a guy I've only met once to listen to it.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
Woman, it's kind of sad that me, a random schmuck on the internet, has to tell you that your TikTok channel is not a public access show. Outside of the fact that your channel lacks the quality of most public access shows, it's not a local broadcast. You literally post videos that are readily accessible to the entire planet. And the idea that you can go on there and think that you can hide your face in a different part of town where you don't normally hang out is not going to change a thing. It's just a numbers game. The more followers you have, the more likely you're going to be recognized in public. And the more that you're recognized, the more that you're going to have to explain to people that you talk about your personal life as if it's the most important thing in the world. And the fact that you're still trying to hide this from a guy pretty much is just telling him that you'll eventually start complaining about him once the situationship inevitably implodes. And that's not worth the headache to most men. And because of the nature of your quote-unquote content, it really makes no difference if you hide it or if you don't. The end result will always be the same. It ends at the wall. You've earned it, sister.
Does anyone else use TikTok as like their version of like Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, like any of that? Like, I have like no want to go on those dating websites because I feel like it's like a 1 in a million chance, and like a lot of the times guys don't really have like the greatest pictures just because guys just like aren't good at taking pictures, I guess. So I never really get to like see what they look like, right? It's like really crappy blurry pictures.
Right.
No, lady, TikTok is not a dating app. TikTok is a place that both advertises the dating apps and is used as a platform for modern women to complain about the dating apps. If you're using TikTok to try to find a guy to date, that's effectively on par with cyber stalking. Now, we all know what you mean by the idea that men aren't taking good photos. It's not that the pictures are bad, it's just that you're not attracted to those men, which is fine. That is most certainly your right, but you can't blame us for that. The apps have been long since abandoned by self-respecting men. There's just no point in using them, mainly because modern women see those photos and immediately go onto TikTok to complain about it. And you're thinking the solution is just to find attractive men on TikTok and try to get a date that way, but you're just going to run into the same problem. That man will see your face and your content and then will immediately ignore you. Those types of men have the pick of the litter, and the runt of that particular litter has a better shot than you. Modern women love to think that they have complete control over a man when it comes to who he dates, but nothing could be further from the truth. It's called consent, woman, and if he's not giving it, then it's just not happening. And stalking men on TikTok for dates is just going to leave you blocked, which is way more insulting to you than it is to him.
But on TikTok, it's like a video of them talking or a video of them singing a song, or like you can go on their profile and like see different videos and stuff like that, if they do post, obviously. But I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I low-key be swiping through my For You page just like I would be swiping through Hinge, and I just be like looking at the guys, like, and then if, you know, one's like attractive or like I like him, then I'll go to his profile and then I'll like.
That is the worst idea I've ever heard in my life, Tom.
Yes, it's horrible, this idea.
I got a question for you there, sweetheart. Have you ever considered maybe going outside and talking to men in public? It's not like there aren't any men out there. You can find them literally everywhere. It gets you sunlight, prevents you from mindless doom scrolling, and it has the added benefit of keeping your phone battery charged so you don't have to pester people at a coffee shop to borrow their charging cables. But we all know that you're never going to bother doing that. That's just because you're terrified of rejection. You can't walk up to a man and strike up a conversation, so it's easier to send that man a message online from the safety of your phone screen. I mean, think about it. You are going to great lengths to avoid talking to men face to face, and you think your so-called solution is to cyber stalk a guy and assume that he'll be interested in dating you. That is how much you want to avoid human interaction. The only way you're willing to compromise on this is if there's some type of free meal or free activity involved, and that's just plain silly, and it's an ambition that's way too lofty for the likes of you. No self-respecting man is willing to waste his money in that regard, and that goes triple if he has a TikTok following.
Kind of get a look into like his personality, his thoughts, his beliefs, stuff like that, and then I kind of get like an idea of him. And if he makes it past those two things, then I go in his bio and I see sometimes people like have like what state they live in, which is really helpful because TikTok is worldwide, so this man could be anywhere, you know. But literally not once has a man been in Tennessee, so that's failed me.
What?
Woman, if you're going to low-key complain about your lack of a dating life, then you really need to brush up on your knowledge of basic English. What you said is that there's literally not a single man in the state of Tennessee. And if that were the case, Tennessee would be a feminist utopia that would also be a massive hellscape of lawlessness, zero functioning indoor plumbing, and would probably become the patron state of keyed cars and rampant arson. What you're meaning to say is that the state of Tennessee is devoid of the men that you find attractive, and you can't seem to find any TikTok channels of these men who hail from your great state. Now, as an intergalactic bounty hunter, I'm afraid that my knowledge of the state of Tennessee is rather lacking, but I'm fairly certain there are men in that state. And the fact that your street isn't covered in garbage or desiccated feminine hygiene products is a testament to that. But your standards are so high and your social capacity is so low that you feel that there aren't any men out there. And that's your fault thanks to your bad decision-making skills and your unwarranted judgment of men in general. And rest assured, woman, the solution will not be found on TikTok. Those types of men have women practically throwing themselves at him. So you won't have a chance in that particular bloodbath.
But it's kind of like a 3-step verification. Like, I'd be like, oh, he's cute. I go to the profile and then I look at like his personality and stuff. And then if he doesn't seem like a jerk, I guess, I don't know, or he doesn't seem weird or anything, and I kind of like his habits, then I'm like, oh, does he live here? Nope. But I'm gonna keep trying, and I'm gonna find me a Tennessee man. And I refuse to download a dating app. So this is just my version of that. So any Tennessee men, please come forward.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I don't see how you can say that you will refuse to download a dating app when you've already openly admitted to downloading dating apps. And that's kind of ironic when you consider that you're trying to use TikTok as a dating app. Even though this plan of yours has yielded zero fruit, you're still committed to this idea of trying to find a Tennessee man who has a TikTok channel, stalk him to make sure that his online persona meets with your superficial values, and then blindly assume that he's going to be interested in you. You're pretty much doing 3 times the amount of work for the exact same result. TikTok is a massive cesspool of modern culture where the biggest narcissists, life failures, and straight up hateful bigots get pushed to the front of the For You pages for millions of users, while anybody else gets left in the dust in the name of liberal politics and corporate profit structures. And you're trying to use this obvious platform of propaganda to try to find a guy, and you're acting like this is a foolproof plan, even though this plan of yours has made you look like a massive fool in pretty much every degree. It's such a dumb idea that I'm fairly certain Tennessee men out there are trying to come up with ways to become as unappealing as possible to you just so you'll leave them alone, and personally, I can't blame them. I just want to take a couple of moments to say thank you to the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon. It is absolutely fantastic to see so many folks supporting my work, and I cannot thank you enough for your generosity. All hail! If you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. It's a great way to support the channel at a low price, and I will leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you.
Hey guys, come with me today to have reconstructive surgery on my back door. And you may be wondering, how did I get myself into this situation? You see, I thought it would be a fun idea to let 50 guys in my back door, along with my friend Lily Phillips, because, you know, we like to do things that are crazy. But with that being said, I did a number on that back door. Not only that, but I've been doing this for a really long time, so for several years.
Okay, that's just gross.
Alright, I think it's safe to say that we can all agree that the spice miner industry has gotten way out of hand, and at this point we need to be trying harder for the intergalactic space god his Malomagard, all hail, to be sending off the cleansing apocalypse so that existence itself can just get a fresh start. I mean, there was a time when the virtuous shame was thrust upon these Jezebels in such a way that they would never openly admit to the work that they do. But now, not only do they proudly admit this is what they do, they also openly talk about it as if it's something that people need to know about. Woman, you decided to join in on the game of who can be the biggest harlot by doing some of the most dumbest things possible, and your bunghole ended up getting ruptured thanks to your terrible life decisions. And not only is that disgusting, it's also nobody's business. Now, we all know why you're talking about it. You want sympathy from the public, but you don't deserve any of that. You openly joined in on the pointless game of having a one-upping contest with other spice miners in the name of spicy content notoriety, and all you have left is a paycheck that you're going to have to sign over to a surgeon as he does some surgery on your pooper. And that is not exactly worthy of sympathy there, sweetheart.
And there's a lot of girls in the industry who haven't been doing it really long, or they haven't done it at all. So, I mean, if you think about it, I've been doing it for almost 21 years because I'm almost 37.
That's nothing to be proud of, Rusty.
So, yeah, do the math. I've been doing it for a really long time. And with this line of work that I'm in, it needs to look perfect. And, you know, here I am at the surgery place. Hi. Yes, Tiffany. Okay.
I quit. I quit. I quit.
Okay, so in other words, you're old enough to know better, and you're old enough to care, but neither one of those seems to be registering in your brain. I mean, lady, there must have been somewhere in that brain of yours that thought that maybe letting 50 dudes rail that particular orifice was probably a bad idea, especially when that thing was designed to strictly be an exit by thousands of years worth of evolution. But apparently, in your vast experience in the spice mining industry, never at any point did this occur to you once. Which just goes to show the lengths that you're willing to go for internet fame. You're willing to put your life on the line, publicly degrade yourself, and pretty much guarantee a lifetime's worth of loneliness and solitude in exchange for paychecks and notoriety. And that's a pretty stupid exchange. But I guess that's about on par for the likes of you, since you are fairly stupid. Now, I've always been a firm believer that it's your life to waste, and if that's what you want to do, then be my guest. But that doesn't give you the right for sympathy as you talk about how hard your life is after you let 50 dudes guarantee that you'll never be able to poop comfortably again.
Taking a urine test to make sure I'm not pregnant, which I am not because, you know, I only do the back door. I really do think that this might become a trend, and I'm just putting this out there. Unless you're wanting to pay thousands of dollars, don't try this at home.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
Would I do this again?
Maybe it's
Probably, but that's because I'm a professional. This was one of the most painful recoveries I've ever been through. So you can see the pain. It was so bad because I had stitches in there. It was so hard to push and every moment hurt. But yeah, hopefully I can share this experience and bring awareness to this.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't fucking know either.
You know, I just had a crazy thought. When a self-respecting man tries to one-up another, it's usually something that tends to be fun, or at least productive. A self-respecting man has no problem trying to one-up his buddy in terms of barbecue smokers, long-distance basketball shots, or trying to find the kill screen in Pac-Man. But when modern women try to one-up each other, they usually do some of the dumbest things imaginable. They also learn next to nothing in the process. I mean, you said it yourself, sister. You're most likely going to be doing this again, despite the pain, the humiliation, not to mention the financial burdens. And yet, despite all of this, you want to bring awareness to this issue and prevent it from becoming a trend? Lady, we're already well aware of this trend, and thanks to your incredibly moronic decisions, it's not going anywhere. The only way that you could possibly score any form of understanding in this whole debacle is if you openly admit that what you did was dumb, that it's dangerous, and swear to never do it again. But you literally did the exact opposite. You said that you were going to do it again out of some form of professionalism. So you are not only not raising awareness, you're also trying to profit from both ends of the situation. And that is not happening, sweetheart. You destroyed one end of yourself, so there's no point in trying to save the other. That's why I say prostitutes, prostitutes.
Y'all want to talk about my second date?
No, and I don't care.
Let's talk about it. Oh, I wish I could say it went better. It did not. It did not. He invited me over for dinner instead of going out for sushi, which I thought was great. Like, that's great. Let's go. So I went to his house for dinner. He grilled us some steaks, which I love. But as we're having some conversation and a glass of wine, he says that he would be open to having children. And looked right at me. I'm 47, baby.
Old. Old? Old.
Okay, so where exactly is this man supposed to look? Should he look at the shag carpeting as he says that he wants to pass on his legacy to the next generation? Like, what did you expect him to do? This guy was looking at you and telling the truth, and you're acting like this is some kind of a horrible situation. He wants kids, and you don't. The mature thing to do would be to tell him that you're not interested, to pay for your share of the steaks that he cooked for you, and just leave. It's not a disaster. It's a misalignment of goals, and it's bound to happen. The only reason why this date is a disaster story is because you turned it into a disaster. This guy confided in you and what he wants out of a relationship. What exactly was he supposed to do? Keep it a secret until the two of you are 3 years into a situationship? I thought open and honest communication was supposed to be important on these dates, but you're acting like you're somehow the victim because he wants kids and you don't. Well, woman, I'm here to tell you, the only thing that you're a victim of is your own stupidity. You're 47, you don't have any prospects, and the fact that you're freaking out on this just goes to show that this man dodged a massive freaking bullet.
No, I mean, I'm still raising my kids. I got 2 grandbabies as well. Yeah, no, you're barking up the wrong tree, brother. Wrong tree. But if that wasn't enough, as we're sitting there and eating, and I'm drinking my wine, he got up to go dust his coffee tables off. I was like, what in the fuck is going on? What in the God's green earth is going on? He's dusting his coffee tables, spray and rag and all.
Now,
Wait, hang on a second. I was under the impression that modern women were in tune with subtle hints, vague gestures, and telepathic thought. This guy wanted you to leave his house because there wasn't any future with you and he didn't want to waste any more of his time. He had more important things to do, like dusting his coffee tables. Now, odds are you're leaving out a boatload to the story, sister, because self-respecting men can go through a lot of anguish before having to resort to household chores if it means getting some relief. So if it got to that point, I'm kind of curious as to how you acted when he said that he wanted kids. Were you respectful about not wanting more, or did you laugh at him for having the nerve to wanting something you didn't? Because it sounds to me like you disrespected this man in his own home. So this was his way of telling you to get out of his house and never come back. But I guess you slept through that day at telepathy school. Now, I will say that this probably wasn't the most effective way of communicating to get out of his life, but hey, I can't blame him either. Any form of direct confrontation could end with a swatting attempt. So I guess busting out the lemon pledge was probably a safer way to go.
Y'all, the icing on the cake, if the children comment wasn't enough, the icing on the cake was that he only gives his dog a quarter of a cup of water in intervals. And I accidentally left the toilet seat up, and the dog went and drank out of the toilet and then had a little tinkle on the carpet. And I got in trouble. I got like reprimanded, like put in time out. No, I immediately aborted mission. Peace out.
you! I will think of you as I throw up into the toilet.
All right, let's just go ahead and get the obvious out of the way first. Woman, I better not see you ever going on TikTok and complaining that men leave the toilet seat up, because this story just proves how pointless the toilet seat argument really is. Now, moving on, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are trying to imply that this man was abusing his dog with the tone of your voice, when it's obvious that this man's dog has some sort of a bladder issue, so controlling and monitoring his dog's water consumption is his way of making sure that this dog doesn't have to take a leak every 2 minutes. It helps to create a quality of life improvement for not only him, but also his best friend. And you're trying to make him sound like he's being cruel to his dog just so you can be a victim in the date that you botched with your garbage attitude. Now, this guy just had a massive series of letdowns, and the evening was bad enough. But then to add insult to injury, he now has to spend his evening cleaning dog piss off of his carpet and babysitting his dog to make sure he gets to pee outside. So can you really blame him for getting tired of you? Now, I will admit, this date was an apt metaphor for who you are as a person. This man would rather have to deal with dog urine than he would having to deal with your social excrement. And that's a punishment that no man deserves. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.